Okay. Yeah, baby.
He's got that magic. The way he touches me is so spiritual. He's so everything. He's a miracle.
Hey.
I've been searching all my life for someone like him.
How y'all doing out there, my sweet baby?
All this time I thought that he was just.
Hey. Welcome to the Tisa Batey Show. Live here on Facebook with DJ Grady Baby. I'm excited about the show today. This is going to be a good show, guys. This is really like for real. It's going to be a great show. So what I want to do is go ahead and make sure that everybody has a chance to get on and that you have an opportunity to share this with everyone. This is going to be good. Let me make sure that I am live on here.
Oh, you are live.
We don't want anybody to miss out. Am I broadcasting public and not private? Let me just make sure that I'm public and not private, because I want everybody to be able to see this. Let's see. Photos, check in, public. Okay, so we're good. Hey, everybody. Let me wait just a minute. We're gonna wait for people today. Okay, let me see. Let me make sure everything is everything. Hey, everybody. Sometimes my internet moves a little slow, but hey, everybody. So glad to have you on today. This is really going to be a relevant show. It's a relevant topic. And I want to make sure that everybody and anybody who's anybody has an opportunity to share this podcast today. This is really going to be a power-packed hour. We are going to talk about the racial climate in Atlanta, but not only Atlanta. I focus on Atlanta because that's where I am, and that's been the hub of a lot of protest and a lot of response to injustice. So we're focusing on Atlanta, but not just Atlanta. We want to talk about the racial climate all over the country, all over the world today. So me and DJ Grady Baby, we have a very special guest with us today. I need you guys to go ahead and share this, do a viewing party, share it with as many people as you can, guys. When I tell you, this is not a for play podcast. This is a for real. This is very relevant and very important that as many people as can be on the podcast are allowed the opportunity to join in and participate on this podcast. So just take a few minutes, share it with everyone that you know would benefit from it. Don't be selfish. Share this podcast. Don't just look at it. Share it. If I know you have to know at least one person that you can share this podcast with, because guys, this is really going to be this is going to be good. This is going to be power packed. And this is something that as a people, quite obviously, we need to talk about. So that being said, welcome to the Tisa Batey Show. So glad to be in your presence. So glad that you took out time from your busy schedule to join me today. So glad that you think I'm relevant enough to listen to what I have to say. So, without further ado, of course, I'm going to introduce um, my guests today. Now, of course, all of you all know the infamous, my sidekick, the infamous DJ Grady Baby. So he's always joining us. But also today, aside from DJ Grady Baby, I'm very, very excited about um, our special guest today. His name is Osiris Wolf. That is his stage name, and he is a relevant rapper, and he's also um, a new leader of the civil movement. And we're
Yes.
excited to have him on with us today. We're just, oh my gosh, if you've never heard of him, he went from Shad Row. He was just Shad back in the day to Shad Row, and his music game, his rap game is, I'm telling you, it's off the chain. I
Man.
think
Thank
the
you,
thing that
thank
I'm
you.
most proud of is the fact that he's my nephew. That's the only time I will probably say that during this podcast, because what I don't want to do is compromise the integrity of what he brings to the table. Um, he would be here whether he was or was not my nephew, but that just happens to add to it. I'm very, very proud of this young man. Um, I can't tell you uh, just how I feel on the inside and how happy and how elated I am to have a member of my immediate family be so involved in the movement and in the concerns of our people. A lot of people can talk about change, but it really takes a special person to put themselves on the front line and try to affect that positive change. So I'm very, very proud of him. Very excited to have him on today. And again, his name is Osiris Wolf. I call him Bam. That's what the family calls him. He's always going to be my Bam baby, but he is very serious about his um, passion for the people. So, Osiris Wolf, first of
Hmm.
all, talk to us about the origin of that name. What does that mean, Osiris Wolf? Where did you get that name from?
Uh, I had it since I was like 15. It was more like my alias for when I was making beats and cover art and all of that. But Osiris is the father of Horus. So, like in Egyptian mythology, like where you see the eye and all of that, that's the eye of Horus. Osiris is his father, and he's like the god of the underworld. And I use that in context to like I'm just bringing new life to like I guess familiar things that we've seen in our time as being human, whether it be like uh, it really stems from my personal experience, just growing up in Atlanta and just seeing a lot of the things that I've seen. I know it's not necessarily um, the most unique thing, whether it be like street violence or police or dealing with racism or just being, what I'm saying, just a kid in the environment. But I just feel like I use my perspective to bring new light to the situations and new light
Wow.
to a lot of my homeboys that ain't here and a lot of my friends and stuff that ain't here because they fell victim to a lot of the things that I do talk about that I was able to kind of maneuver around. And Wolf just comes from uh, just being in my own, like just being my own pack. I don't. In this world, you got wolves and you got sheep. Sheep are easily manipulated, and rather than using my power to manipulate, I use my power to inspire and motivate people. So
Wow.
Osiris Wolf is that's kind of how that came about.
Oh man.
Awesome, awesome. I am getting. I'm going to stop for a moment because I am getting an error loading message on Facebook, and I don't.
Oh,
I'm not
it
saying
said
that our.
broadcasting. I got the same
Huh?
thing 3 times. I got the same thing 3 times. But people are loading in. It finally allowed me. What it is, the internet is catching up to your phone. You're catching up to it, the
Okay.
broadcast. So you're
Okay.
gonna
So
get that a few times.
what I need people to tell me out there, I need because this is a real important podcast. I need everybody to let me know that you can hear us. I need you guys to let me know that you hear us and that the audio is coming through and the video is coming through.
Yes.
Because I'm getting an error message on my part, and what I don't want to do is
Sheila Smith said you're
have
good. Yeah, give us some thumbs
yeah, I don't
up
want to have
and some hearts. Thumbs up and
yeah.
heart.
If you can hear this podcast, if you can see it and hear it, give us some thumbs up. Let us know that you can hear us.
Yes.
Very very important.
Hey,
We've
Osai.
got people on. We've
Yeah.
got people on. I just continually get an error message.
It's okay. We're good. Wow, the comments are coming in.
Okay. All right. So
So we're good.
all right. So we are okay. So they said that they're hearing
Yes.
loud and clear. Okay. Great. 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 Great.
All right. I want to
Okay.
ask
So what we'll do?
Osiris.
What'd you say, Grady?
I want to ask Osiris a question. How long have you been rapping?
Well,
How long have you been doing music?
I mean, I grew up in a musical family, so I got
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
I got
yes.
I got an uncle. My uncle Mike. He kind of put the battery in my back to really like. He played guitar, um, and that was just something that kind of caught my ear when I was younger. But I started rapping when I was like 2 for real,
Wow.
just liking music. You know what I'm saying? I rap like whatever's out at that point, but I started taking it serious for myself like after I left college. So probably like 19, 20. I'm 24 now, so
Okay.
it's
Okay.
been like 3, 4 years
Okay. Yeah, definitely. We're gonna talk off the air about your music. I'm a music lover.
for
Let me
sure.
ask you this. Now, who's your mentors? Who inspired you to get to become an activist? Because you're an activist. I mean, all the lights are on you right now.
You know what? Let
Yeah.
me just say
I'm
this
sorry. Go ahead.
before he answers that question. Let me just say this. I cannot tell you how many emails,
Mm-hmm.
text messages, inbox comments, videos I've had sent to me just over the past 24 hours saying,
Crazy.
Tisa, like I saw your nephew. Tisa, I saw your nephew at the Capitol leading the cause, leading the protest. Tisa, I saw your nephew on MSNBC. Tisa, I saw your nephew.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, I cannot even begin to tell you, and they still come in today.
Hmm.
Whatever reason, um, the media has really gravitated towards Osiris
Mm-hmm.
and involvement in this movement. And so he's been all over the media, every news channel you can think of. He's been a very present figure and a very active figure for the past 24 hours. So we'll get back to whoever your influence is. I'd like to know who your influences are as well. But then I want to take it a little deeper and talk about some of your past experiences involving this movement. So who like DJ Grady Baby says, who is your influence?
Uh, Experience is always the best teacher. So that's number one. Number two, Asada Shakur, Malcolm X, Angela Davis, Nina Simone,
Mm.
um, even Marvin Gaye and Prince. How
Wow.
they were outside of the music, just how they were vocal about what was going on in their atmosphere. Um, you gotta be. You can't have fear to do those kind of things,
Mm.
especially when you are in those situations where you could lose a lot, or you
Mm,
know, you. So, I'm just inspired by um, and even more recently, there's a young woman named Oluwatoyin Salau. She was recently murdered following a protest in Florida. But just
This
her
is one we
energy and
haven't
her
heard of.
dedication. Yeah,
This is one we haven't heard of.
yeah. Unfortunately, it was a 19-year-old
Mm,
African or oriented woman who was sexually assaulted and murdered in Florida following a protest. She went missing probably about a week. And I say that to say that the black woman has always been a real staple in the movement for equality, and I know a lot of black men tend to shy away from that fact, but just to know that she put her life on the line and gave to a cause that unfortunately couldn't return the favor.
Oh,
That just that
wow.
just that just shows what love is and
mm-hmm,
shows what dedication is, and just to know that you left that kind of mark on the world to even come back and have to critique our own movement for just for corrections and to make sure we right our wrongs going forward.
mm-hmm.
Um, that's a hero to me. Even though her death and her life being cut short wasn't of heroics, it's just more so like what she did with her last bit of time that we
Mm-hmm.
got to witness. Man, that's 12 out of 10. That's nothing like it.
That's deep.
Yeah,
That's deep.
yeah, it is
Well,
very
let's talk about. That's unfortunate. She's one that we haven't heard about.
right.
Um,
Hmm.
there are new ones. Let's be honest, that we haven't heard about. But that's unfortunate, and my condolences certainly to her and her family, and
Mm-hmm,
um, you know, the heartbreaking thing and the really heart wrenching thing is that when we see all these names and all these faces of lives that have been lost, and
Hmm.
we go on with our lives. We carry on because it
Yeah.
hasn't impacted us personally, we feel. But you
right.
know what? They're leaving behind families just like we have to grieve
Yes.
their loss. And
Yeah.
that's tough. So I never want to make light of that. Osiris, talk to us. You were very instrumental uh, in the protests day
Hmm.
one in Atlanta. Um, Friday before last is the first day I think that the protest really took place here in Atlanta, and you were
Hmm.
on the front lines then. Um, if it's not too much or too painful for you, can you talk to us about some of the events that happened that night that you were actually on the front lines?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was pretty cool. Like as far as the people were concerned, it was only until like law enforcement came through and just doing all the extras, tear gassing and pepper spraying and all of that type of stuff. Like I had to help a woman get to safety because she got shot in the face with a rubber bullet.
Mm,
Um, it probably took her eye out. Uh, there was another woman that needed help finding her kid because the police maced her. Um, I mean, it was a real. I'll say this, it was a really humbling experience, I guess, to see everybody kind of come together in a. It's an emotional time, but it's not emotional to the point where it's just completely destructive. Like, granted, yeah, it was some looting and stuff going on where I was at, but at the same time, like I look at all of that as justification. When you built the city and you don't even get a thank you in return, let alone like
mm,
money to pay your rent. You know what I'm saying? The people that built this city is on welfare right now. Like, yeah, it's not a middle class black man. It's not a middle class black woman. It probably has something to do with telling somebody how to do it. But the workers, the people that put their feet to the soil and their hands in the dirt, like them folks live around where I live, and they ducking and dodging, bill collectors and stuff. So it's just and like I said, you don't even get the respect that you deserve for real. Like you can't even leave out your house without law enforcement messing with you or something going on that could potentially affect the rest of the way your life can carry out. So you know, I'm not gonna get too technical on that because everybody, I guess, is entitled to their own opinion. But I'm not gonna debate fact. And at the end of the day, like you cannot criticize um, a group of people that's been abused how to react to that environment when they finally get some balls about themselves to fight back. Um,
Mm.
You know, I hear a lot of people critiquing, like even black folks, like why would they tear down their own city? Why would they tear down their own city? It's the same reason why we get shot in our own city, because it ain't our city. We just make it look good.
Ooh.
Um,
Wow.
and,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of
Okay.
how I look at it. I don't really do like a whole bunch of debating about people's opinions, because opinions come from uninformed people a lot of the time with these type of things. And going back to your point, like how people don't care until it happens to them. Like you have people that are inconvenienced by protests about dead people, and I don't understand that,
Mm-hmm.
because you would want people to do that for you, I'm sure. And going back to once again, like it sucks that we live in a world where even our own people have been manipulated to not be bothered with things that don't concern them personally.
Mm-hmm.
Because at
Mm.
that point, it's too
Exactly.
late. At that point, it's too late. Like, even when I was at the protest, like, and I say this too, APD does not respect their black law enforcement, because while everybody's upset and got tension, they sending the brothers to the forefront to deal with the riots and getting stuff thrown at them and curse words and all of that, and the white people in the back chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They putting on their military stuff to come out here and mess with the people, but in the meantime, in between time, they got these brothers that's so shackled down trying to provide for their families, and they ain't got no backbone, no morals themselves. They got to sit there and take the heat for the whole operation
Yeah.
while they in the background plotting and stuff. And it just sucked because you try to talk to these people and try to get some reasoning to them, and the only thing that they can say is that they're trying to take care of their family. And like I can understand. I'm sorry to go so off track, but like
No, that's okay.
I can understand if people in law enforcement were getting paid like, it's, you know, Jeff Bezos money or something like 500,000, a million, 2 million a year or something to
Yeah.
maintain law and order. Like it's teachers out here get more money than y'all, bro. And
Yeah.
like y'all trying to kill, and that's my
So what?
thing. Like
So tell them what
Yeah.
happened to you the first night.
uh,
The two Yes.
following following the series of unfortunate events, like I said, just going down after helping certain people get to safety or whatever. It was a fire truck that came through, and it was actually two of them, and they didn't really have any plans in stopping. They were slowing down, but it was just kind of like a thing of if you get hit, you get hit. And
Mm.
somebody was trying to be in the front of the fire truck, and I pushed them out the way. And as I pushed them and I moved out the way, it kind of clipped me. So I just kind of felt disrespected, and I felt I got upset. And so I kind of expressed myself in whatever way I felt was necessary at the time. And following my expression, um, I got swamped by the SWAT military personnel from behind. And see, it'd be different if they announced themselves prior to trying to, you know, put their hands on me. But when you put your hands on me and I don't know who you are, you didn't make yourself known. That's fight or flight. That's anybody that's it just don't matter. Like you don't touch anybody
Right.
without making yourself known. That goes for a man or a woman. Like nobody is exempt from that. It's just you can detain me, you can hold me accountable at the state of the law you want to, but be respectful in the process. Don't play victim because you don't know how to do your job. Um,
Mm.
and that's all I ask. If you gonna have a responsibility where life and death is in your hands, at least know what you sign up for. Because I get tired of hearing law enforcement say that they fear for their life, and because they
Yeah.
fear for their life, they got to do stuff like how they did to me, or how they do to people like Breonna Taylor, or
Yeah.
George Floyd, or Trayvon Martin, or Tamir Rice, or Emmett
Absolutely.
Till, or whoever else may be in that equation. Is not too much fear that you can have as a police officer. That's your job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If so,
And they should
with
be
that being
trying. And
said,
let's make sure we're clear on this. That's what they signed up for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that's what you signed up for. So to piggyback on what you said, Osiris, it is, to me, it's no excuse that you shoot somebody and kill somebody because you panicked. That's not an excuse.
It's
Well, they
You
using
were
the key
you're not
word,
even supposed to kill
trying
people.
but
for
they're
it.
using the key word because it's a loophole. It's an escape word that they use, just like this bill they just signed. Only way you can use a chokehold if your life is at risk. Those words that they can use
Anybody
that
Mm-hmm.
at any time.
Yeah, anybody can feel like their life is at risk.
Right.
Anybody can say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Anyone can say, "Oh, I feel that my life is at risk." But here's the thing that really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen a lot of footage of, black people, black men more specifically, who come in contact with law enforcement, and white men who come in contact with law enforcement. I have seen the attitudes of white people towards law enforcement to the point where they will curse them out,
Mm-hmm.
strike out at them, lash out, do whatever.
Yep.
But they're
Yeah.
apprehended and they are
That's because
arrested.
they gang members.
But let us try to do something like that. We don't get our day in court. We are killed instantly.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
That's disparity. And
white people are the
we're
original gangbangers.
Right. And yeah, and that was one thing
so
a sheriff
the first
mentioned.
side of the protest, yeah. He Osiris was one of the first apprehended, arrested for his
Mm-hmm.
involvement in the movement. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
the conversation that I had with him after this was, here's the way I feel. I don't know of one um, influential change maker for the civil rights movement who has not been arrested. Correct me if
Mm-hmm.
I'm wrong, but I don't know of one. If anybody can help me out with this, but I'm talking about a real change maker, somebody who is really willing to put their lives on the line um, for the betterment of our people, just
Mm-hmm.
for equality. We don't expect preferential treatment. We just want to be treated as equals.
Right.
I mean, that's the very least that you could give us since we built this country.
I'm
That's
gonna
just
be
my
honest. I'm gonna be honest. I only want to be out equal. To white people, I don't want to be out equal. I just want to be left alone. Like I
wow.
don't care about like white people don't validate me and validate my people on equality. Like y'all got a lot of soul searching to do before y'all feel like y'all got a pedestal
Mm,
to knight people into your world of civilization. I don't want to be embraced by people that don't want to embrace me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. I don't do fake smiles. I don't do fake handshakes. I don't do all that. I'm not finna run up to y'all office building and chit chat and my people call your people and we never talk again. Like if you don't like me, that's cool. Keep it a personal problem and don't let it affect me not being able to go home tomorrow. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
exactly.
Like that's all I care about.
And
I got
I've said that before. It's okay. I don't necessarily understand the ignorance of people not liking other people just based on the color of their skin. I don't have an understanding for that. I have white friends and black friends. I do. Was raised around white people, and I know that there are really good white people in this world. So I don't have a really good understanding and working knowledge of people who choose to just dislike you based on the color of your skin. I don't understand it. I'm not going to pretend like I do. It's ignorance to me. I don't want to understand it. But if you don't like us, that's your choice. If you don't want to help us, that's your choice. Just leave us alone. If you don't want to help us, just don't hurt us. Um,
Right.
and
Exactly.
yeah.
we can coexist in this world together. So let
Yeah.
me ask you this, Osiris. Talk about what do you feel like the racial climate is, not only in Atlanta, but in the world today?
Y'all folk bold, man. I mean, it's just everybody coming on up out of there. Everybody coming on up out their closet. Just and I appreciate it to be real because it's real honest. Like I said, I don't. we've had to deal with. I think black people's biggest struggle in this, like I said, words are real important. So with equality, you're chasing validation, and when you're chasing validation, you become a victim of an abusive relationship where you'll be told to do 1,000,010 tricks over and over again, and like they'll act like they rock with you. You know what I'm saying? They'll give a couple of your people some millions. They'll give a couple of your people some land and make it seem like you can get it too. And it's like a pyramid scheme. And now you got all these folks at the bottom thinking, oh man, if Jay-Z could do it, or Diddy could do it, you know what I'm saying? If such and such could do it, I know I can too. And that's like a lottery ticket type situation unless you're going against the grain and doing some things that the law themselves ain't going to approve of, because the law is made for the people at the bottom to not be able to succeed, which is why you got brothers doing half-life sentences for weed charges. Meanwhile, dispensaries been an essential work, been a place for essential work all since the coronavirus kicked off. Um, so
Wow.
it's
Wow.
things like that going on that them
Mhm.
folks don't really think add up to it, and that's why I'm saying, like, I don't want equality. I don't want the validation, because we're gonna continue to be in this assembly line of, you're gonna reveal one thing and then there's gonna be five more things behind me I still don't know about because you ain't told me. And we're gonna continue to have to, spend time rioting and protesting over these micro situations, over this murder, over this,
Mhm.
court case, over this, when, like, at the end of the day, racism and all of this stuff come from the art of manipulation. It's seeing a hole or vulnerability in something because you have an upper hand, and now you're able to intervene and create a void between the informed and the ignorant. And now it's kind of like a hamster on the wheel type thing. So you got half or like a great percentage of us, fighting for freedom or fighting for liberation, and then you still got a great percentage of us still fighting for a seat at the table. And
Yeah.
it's
Woo!
it's
For a
coming
seat
it's
at
coming
the table.
yeah, and it's
For a
coming to a
seat at the
point
table.
now. Yeah, and it's coming to a point now where you can't pick both. Like, you can't, um
You can't
like,
straddle the fence.
yeah,
You
like,
Yeah.
can't.
it's like all of these brands is coming out in the midst of, black people dying. Everybody's like, oh, now that I'm thinking about it, we have not represented black people to the fullest extent. Like, everybody's all of a sudden getting this collective conscious of, man, you know what? We really messed up, guys. Like, you got Quaker Oats and Aunt Jemima, finally getting to a point where they're trying to change their branding because it's so racist, and we're in such a sensitive time. People can't do it anymore. So, like, all of this change on the surface, all of this donating, all of this rebranding, all of these Black Lives Matter posts, like, all of that is to save face. It's a part of capitalism. It's part of marketing. We control the market. We control the economy. So
Yep.
white people gonna bend and break or whatever appeases us, because what we co-sign, that's what stay in business.
Yeah.
And I think
Wow.
black people have been so, we brag about stuff, like we brag about being the culture, we brag about being influential, we brag about it, but we don't use it at the right time.
Right.
Like, it's times in protests where we got black folk mad because folks is protesting because you can't get to the store that you want to get to, or you can't get to where you want to go, not thinking that the person that we protesting for probably had plans too. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
Ray Sharp Brooks got killed on his daughter's birthday. Like, I don't care about you wanting to go to home. Like, I don't, it's certain things I don't have, time to go back and forth with, because, like I said, I'm not fighting for a piece of the pie. Like, my focus is for liberation, and liberation don't come when you still stuck in this thing of the world revolve around me, and the world revolve around my needs, and you know the world races, but I'm gonna still get this job. The world races, but I still gotta pay these bills. The world races, but I still gotta bend down and give
So at some
fellatio
point,
to this system.
we have to eliminate the buts. That's what. At some
Yeah.
point, we
Yeah.
have to eliminate the buts. Let me ask you this though. Netflix, the owner, CEO of Netflix, and his wife just donated, what was it, $150 million
Yeah. Yeah.
to
100 something. 20.
Spelman and Morehouse and the UNICEF, the United Negro College Fund. Do you feel in your heart? I mean, and this is not even focusing on the current events that have happened. Do you feel in
Mhm.
your heart that there are really good white people out there who really do want to live in unity with us and
Uh,
who really may have our best interests at heart? Are you so
Yeah,
closed off that you don't acknowledge that, or talk to me about that?
nah, man, I'm not an absolutist at all. It's all about balance with me. So I have a friend named Scott Nelson. He's a hairman, and that's been my boy since I was 2 years old. We met across the street from my grandma's house at Bible study, and he's white, and like that's my boy. But he also took licks to maintain relationships with me and my cousins. Like he'd get beat when he was younger for hanging out with us. Like his dad lived with him, and like I said, I've been cool with him since I was 2. I've never met his dad face to face. Like when anytime I go to his house, if I'm downstairs, his father's upstairs. If we go upstairs, he'll wait like 5-10 minutes to see if I'm gonna come out, and he gonna go downstairs. And that's kind of the relationship even they have. So like they don't have the most positive relationship now because of Scott's choices to embrace all different kind of walks of life. So I respect the white people that do have the dignity and the respect to kind of deal with to overcome the peer pressure or to overcome that their parents' ego or their parents' feelings or their surroundings, because it's real easy. White people had a privilege to not care. I mean, a lot of us
Wow.
do. A lot of us do, but that's where it got taught from. Like, and
mm-hmm.
like I said, racism comes from the
Talk.
way we look. It comes from the way we do all of these different things. But on top of everything, it comes from looking at what you don't have and considering it a loss. You know what I'm saying? That's
Wow.
where
That's
that's
so
where
good.
haterman. You got to understand everything that's in the world got a source. Why do you think niggas in the hood got hater mentality? Because when you don't have a car and you see a nigga driving in the Maybach, you feel like he won that life and you lost. So now you spending your whole rest of your life trying to figure out how to take away from this dude that then came on your block and disrespected you because you don't have what he have. That come from what people don't understand is that was taught somewhere. And while
Mm-hmm.
we shame each other for having that, we got to understand that's exactly how we got into the box we in now. It was served with a smile. White people came to us with promises and with like I said, with language barriers and with barriers and information that we didn't have. And because we got such a good spirit and we live on love, we easily mentally manipulated.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
Yep.
I
Wow.
Yep. Well said.
Deep.
Well said. Yeah,
That's
because we.
deep. That's deep. That's really deep. And we
Yeah.
talked about that on the last show. We talked about that crab in a barrel syndrome.
Yeah.
That comes from, Jim Crow. I mean, this was something, it was very deliberate. We're not
Mm-hmm.
this way. We're not the way we are. Um,
We are a creature of habits. We've been like this
we're
for a
not the
while.
way
We saw
we
people
are
doing this.
at our own will. This was
yeah.
something, we're the way we are by design. This was something that was
Taught.
rooted and grounded into us. This was
Yes.
something that, with the Jim Crow documents talks about how, the letters, Jim Crow letters, if we can just keep them pitted one against the other, then we will
Mm-hmm.
always have power over them. So
Yeah.
this was very deliberate, and we do, and it's very unfortunate. And I hope that I'm alive to
Mm-mm.
see it start to change. I know I won't be alive to see it come to fruition. I hope that I'm alive to see us get to the point where we lift each other up and we applaud each other's successes rather than thinking that somebody else's success diminishes us. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-mm.
I'm the type of person, I'm like this. I might not like everybody. I love everybody. I might not like everybody, and everybody don't like me. And I'm okay with that. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see misfortune happen to anybody. I don't get any pleasure out of that. And if I can't do anything to uplift you and to help you, then I'm going to just stay back here in my corner and be quiet.
And that's how it's
That's
supposed to
the way
be.
more of us need to
Yep.
be like. But instead of that, we try to tear each other down. And if we see somebody climbing the ladder of success, we
Hmm.
try our best. We should.
Yeah.
We
It
got
it
to
it,
find
What
a
did he
way.
think he doing? He think he
it
all that and this and yada
yeah.
yada yada. You know.
It's just like slaves trying to escape the plantation.
It's
It's like
envy.
Wow, that's a
it,
lot of
it's
time.
just it's just like slaves trying to escape the plantation. Like, you know, JB did it. All right, so I'm gonna do it, and then you got a whole bunch of scared niggas that can't do it or they won't do it or they so caught up in their own fear, they laughing at you because you got aspirations to break the chain. You know what I'm saying? Like just even having the balls of thinking about it is something that a lot of us need to appreciate because like I said, we done got comfortable in this world of capitalism. Like second class citizenship is a couple celebrities, you know
Hmm.
what I'm saying, and a couple $1 million. Like these record label contracts, these athletic contracts,
Yeah.
like it's a lot of money. But when you really think about the blood, sweat, and tears that we done put into this country for 400 years, like that's a down payment. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like that don't even
Okay.
come close. That don't come close. Like I'm not hearing it. Like
Yeah.
you can't tell me that you are paving the way for a better. And that's the thing. Like it'd be different if everybody was getting this money. Like it's like America runs on diversity hires. Like you get a couple black people the position that white people got. You give a couple black people the platform that white people got, and all of a sudden racism is over with. All of a sudden, all the problems in the world, police brutality and fatality don't exist, and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
women's. And you know you give a woman a commercial about women's rights, and yay, everything is over with. You name a couple streets, Black Lives Matter, and yay, the issue's fixed. Like, no, nigga, like do the real job. Like do what we're asking of you instead of sprinkling these little things around to try to soften up the blow. You know
Instead
what
of
I'm
just
saying?
throwing us a little bit of nuggets because the problem still exists. Well, let me ask you this. You have been, again, and for you guys who are just tuning in or didn't hear me at the very beginning of the podcast, you have been a very, very visual presence um, in this movement in Atlanta. You have been all over the media waves, every news channel, um, even national MSNBC, every news channel. Like I say, I've been inundated with
Mm-hmm.
text messages and with calls and with people sending me video clips saying, Tisa, your nephew is here. Tisa, your nephew, I just saw your nephew. So, and
Crazy.
you've been very, very active in leading a lot of the protests at the Capitol building in Georgia and various other places. Um, Talk to us about what you're, and then when we do this, I want to cut to some comments from our viewers because the comments are off the chain and it's a lot of them, and I won't be able to get to all of them, but I do want to get to some of them. But talk to us about what your participation or what your role is in this movement for our people.
To be honest, man, I'm a student. I'm somebody that thrives off of experience, and I ain't got nothing but some heart, man. I don't have a whole bunch of. I read, of course, but at the end of the day, like I'm just using the good sense God gave me, and I'm just able to notice what's right from wrong. It's not necessarily that I'm quote unquote leading. I think I just fall into a leadership role in the midst of things going on because I guess people relate to my spirit and people relate to what I say. And I've grown to develop a lot of trust with the people in the city, through being present. And I've recently just started becoming vocal, just because like I said, going back to the Oluwa Toyin situation, I just don't feel like black women are being recognized and black people of choice, meaning, the lesbian and, the queers and gays and trans. I just don't think that they're getting the proper recognition amongst, my fellow straight black men. And that's kind of the point that I always want to ensure because as straight black men, we tend to hog the mic. We tend to think that the world is out to get us, and because of this mentality, we're gonna potentially reboot white supremacy and put it in blackface because we're we get so caught up in the black man struggle, the black man pain, the black man death, to where it's like there are other forms of black here that we need to care about just as much.
Wow.
So after hearing two, three, four, five black men talk about black men, and you got black women that even talk about black men, and talking about what women need to do to support black men, like, as much as I respect it, I'm not finna give black men the ego to feel like we finna sit up here and play victim and feel like we got time to get pampered and pacified in the midst of aiding black women's struggles and aiding black trans struggles. Like, we out here protesting for George Floyd,
Mhm.
and niggas is beating up trans women, and y'all assaulting black women, and y'all throwing them in dumpsters, and this, that, and the third. But like, y'all expect these people to love you. Y'all expect these people to fight for you. You expect these people to have your back and to respect you as a human being. Like, and I just feel like we losing momentum on that front, because black men, we pick and choose when to be men. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
We'll
Mm.
sit around and we'll sit around and we'll let the people at work treat us like a little hoe. We'll sit around and let the law enforcement do us however they want to. We'll sit around and let the world treat us and say about, talk about us any way that we want to. And the only people that we poke our chests out at and try to act macho around and try to act like we that real nigga around is our women and our children. And now you causing a divide in the household that, yeah, the white man is perpetuating, but you're allowing to happen because you're falling into the trick of manipulation. Now the manipulation is falling on you. You know what I'm saying? Now you out here, you know, beating your wife and cheating and, sleeping around and like just and not being present in your children's life, and
yeah. So
just doing like.
what you're saying is, and I agree with you.
Mm-hmm,
What I firmly believe is this: we have a role that we have to play.
for
Like,
sure.
there are a lot of things, and let me just say this: there are a lot of things that we can blame, um, the powers that be for. But there are some things that we just cannot. There are some things that we have to take ownership for ourselves. And I'm
Yeah,
and I'm feeling you, and I'm hearing you when you talk about the trans. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a couple of weeks ago. It was so disheartening to me. It it stopped me in my tracks, and I can't remember the name, and you can help me with this. But
Mhm.
there was a transgender um, woman, and because she was in a fender bender uh, with fellow black men, there were probably a dozen, if not more, black men who beat her down. Um,
yeah,
it was so disturbing to see. Like, we can't expect, we can't call for equality if we're not
Yeah.
giving that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if,
exactly.
and here's my thing. Here's my thing, people. And this really bothers. It really does. It bothers me. Like, how do you expect? How do we expect people who have had different experiences from us, who have grown up with different lives from us, who live in different parts of the world from us? Why do we expect everybody to think and be just like us? And
Mm.
anybody who falls outside of that picture in our heads of perfection that we have, then we want to ridicule them. We want to beat them down. We want to,
That's white supremacy.
but it's horrible. It's not only in white supremacy, it's us
Yes.
too.
That's too.
We,
Yeah, I'm
it's
saying I'm
not,
saying it's the psychology that
not
got passed down. It's just the psychology that got passed down. We were taught to, and I'm not saying that this is an excuse, because once you understand the way that you're thinking, you're not accountable to change it. And I'm saying that black people have been, like I said, we've been taught to look at other people under the scope of our own personal idea of perfection and perception. Because if you think about it, that's the only way we get to make it out and live to see another day. Because on the off chance there's a white person that decided to look at us as worthy enough to go back home and things that of that nature. So I'm not saying that it's acceptable. It's not acceptable. Black men,
No,
we
it's not.
definitely got to change. We gotta stop being ain't shit to our women and our kids. I'm sorry for using language, and I
Yeah.
apologize if that's a
Yeah.
problem. But
True.
that's me
Right.
talking.
That's true.
But yeah,
True.
we
I
gotta do
understand.
much better.
We both
We got
as
to
a
do better by
family,
each other, guys. At the end of the day, we got to do better by each other.
each other.
And
Yeah,
Yeah, facts.
exactly.
yeah,
You
we
know,
got to
Facts.
do better by each other. We play a part in this. We have to expect more of ourselves and we have to treat each other better. I was just saying on the podcast the last time, we want to support Black owned businesses and all this. I get that. But when I come into your Black owned establishment, you
Hmm.
should treat me with the same dignity and respect that you would treat anybody else. Number one, you don't give me just whatever you want to give me. You give me your very best. And that is something that we can control. We got to get better at that. But right now, hold on. I've got to get to some of these comments. Give me a reason to want to support your Black owned business. Don't let me come to your car shop or whatever because my car is messed up and then you try to railroad me and jack the price up sky high, and then I leave my car there and I get it back and it's just halfway done, and then when I want to bring it back to you to get it fixed, I can't get in contact with you. That's
yeah.
piss poor customer
The
service.
number you have reached is no
Got
longer in
to do
service.
better. Yeah. If we want us to support each other, and it's my desire to do that. But if I come into your Black owned business or establishment and you give me your behind the kiss, guess what? I'm going to Pep Boys or I'm going to wherever else. So a
Yeah,
lot of this we can control. A lot of this starts with us. So where the parts that the variables that we can control, we
for
need to do
sure.
that. So let
Yeah,
me
and we have a lot more control than we think. But we'll talk about it in a second.
Okay, so Kenyatta McNeil says, I'm not advocating for violence, but I understand exactly why people become violent. We built this country for free. So if buildings get burned down, okay. And a lot of
That's
people
true.
feel exactly the way she feels. Let's just face it. We've
That's
got a
true.
whole lot of one-liner comments like, yes, say it, bam, say it, whatever. If you don't love yourself, you then look to protect yourself and hate on other people. That's true. Hope Murray
Mm.
Clark says, absolutely, Tisa, and I don't know exactly what this is. We were not raised like that. It really blows my mind. There is only one color, and that's red, the blood we bleed. And Hope Murray is one of my white soul sisters from back in Tennessee. And let me tell you something. She is one of the people that make me say and make me know that there are
Yeah,
really good, genuinely good white people in this world.
they are.
I'm touched and I'm affected by all of the support that has been just like, and it's not phony support. When you look at the movements that are going on across the nation and even in other countries, the white people are standing up saying, we're tired of this, just
Yeah,
like we are. There
yeah.
are some good, there
Oh
are
yeah.
There's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of good
my
people out
personal
there.
belief is I've had experiences, and
Mhm.
I grew up in a predominantly white town. And I'm gonna tell you something. I love my white friends. I kill a rock over them. I love them, and I know they love me. So there are good ones out there. I just don't want us to get into the habit of stereotyping
Stereotyping everybody.
and
Yeah.
lumping to the
Yes.
same
For
spot
sure.
like
Hmm.
some of us
Yeah.
grew up, because that's not the case. Naomi Love says, educate them, bam. Diane Cole says, they have lost their entire minds. White people have been given an okay to just confront Black people that are minding their own business like never before. It's to the point that I carry a taser. Wait on, Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
feel
And
that same way. I get it.
that
That's
ain't
what
that ain't
Sharon says, speak a word, bam. Margie Moore, your grandmommy says, speak, bam. So
Yeah.
a lot of people are commenting.
I'm gonna say
Hold on.
this. Okay.
Let me get to this one other comment. Hope Murray says, my heart still aches about what happened to Emmett Till. I encourage everyone to study your history on him. That poor boy and his mommy and family went through hell. You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
Naomi loves that racism is born at home. And you're absolutely right, because it's a learned behavior. I don't care what anybody
Mm-hmm.
says. Nobody knows. No, you put a black baby and a white baby beside each other and let them grow up unhindered, untampered with their entire lives. Guess what? They grow up to be the best of friends.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
when
It's human.
adults come in and taint the images of one or the other
Yeah.
and pit them against each other. That's where racism is born. It's
Hmm.
not an
Yeah.
innate characteristic of us. It's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's a learned behavior. So let me just ask this. There are so many comments, and guys, if I don't get to your comment, please don't be offended. I will. Nikki Beatty says, "My young king, my baby." Absolutely, your baby is dropping some knowledge
Oh
today.
yeah.
Listen, if I don't get to your comments, and she says, "I love you, son." If I don't get to your comments
Like you
during the
said.
podcast, it's almost time for us to go. Me, DJ Grady Baby, and Osiri Wolf, we will personally answer your comments,
Yeah.
um, each and every one of them. So don't be
Hmm.
offended, because you are relevant, you matter to us, and
Yes.
we're so glad to have you on the broadcast with us today. This is a really relevant issue.
It is.
Um,
Wow.
there are a couple of other things that I want to discuss before we leave. I wanted to
Okay.
ask you, Osiri, I can't even read all the comments. I can't even.
I
I
know
mean, there's
they are flooding in. I'm like,
like
man.
I'm over. I'm over. I don't know that we've ever had this many comments, but I'm overwhelmed. But what I do want to ask you this, and I want to ask you. I say "damn" because you will always be
Osiris.
my boo boo. I want to ask you, and then Grady baby, DJ, I want you to chime in as well.
Okay.
Um, what? Where do we see this going? Number one, what was the breaking point that you guys feel like for us? And number two, where do we see this movement going? Where and realistically, not where do we hope to see it go, but where do we realistically see things developing to? Like, where do you see us being? And I know that only God has the ultimate answer, but in your personal opinions, where do you see this going in the next few months, in the next
Mm.
year? We'll start with DJ Grady Baby, and then we'll let Osiris close us out.
Yeah, let the young king close us out. Man.
We'll let the young king close us out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me just thinking that we haven't reached our breaking point yet, because it's still going right now, and we're still gearing up. Right now, we're not fed up. Once we, I think I can't put a deadline date on it. It's just some things that may have to take place in order for things to fall in line, to restructure itself. But I don't know where we go from here. Like the show I was watching, where do we go from here? The thing is, we're getting the movement. People are coming out. People are speaking out. People are protesting. But our power and our strength is in economics. You know, when we go out into the economy and we buy this stuff, we do this, and this, we're paying the system. We just putting money back into the system that oppresses us. We need to, I think, keep our income to ourselves, take care of what we need to take care of, and go out and vote, get us a strategy, get us an agenda, and find some civil rights. Please, all our civil rights guys. I got a couple of friends that's watching now. Please, let's get around these young people and give them some of our wisdom and our knowledge, because they have the energy, they have the strength, they have the fight, they have the drive. Please, come on, y'all,
These millennials
embrace these young
ain't
brothers.
taking it. These millennials ain't taking it. These
They're not playing.
millennials, Generation Z,
Yeah.
they're not taking it.
Yes.
And you're right. Our strength is in economics, but who will be that voice to lead us? Who will be that structure? We have not had that since, let's just face it, Martin Luther King Jr. We've had other civil rights movement leaders, but we haven't had that one figure that we felt like we could all rally around, who would lead us through and guide us through what the steps that we need to take collectively to be heard, to be a voice, to be actually relevant.
I want
That's
to say
what we're.
this.
That's
Reason
what
why
we're
we
missing.
haven't had that leader, everybody is afraid to be. Some people are afraid to be a leader because they're scared to die, because they get those death threats.
I understand.
You know,
I don't want to die either. I get it. I don't
every
want to die.
every time we get one, they assassinate them. You know,
I understand, but there are people out there who will give their lives and lay their life, and who are willing to lay their lives on the line for this movement. That is their purpose and that is their calling on this in this world. And they have identified that it's not everybody's calling. I get that.
Right.
But where's the next one? Take us out, Osiris. Help us out.
We got two options, and there's only two options because, like I said, you got one half fighting for liberation of all people, and you got the other half fighting for themselves.
Yeah.
You got people saying F the police, then you got some people dancing with the police an hour before curfew for whatever reason. I think that's coon behavior. I'm gonna just let that be known. It's very weak, and it does not show any solidarity to the people that you are out here protesting for. So I suggest that you people go home and get your priorities in order, and don't come back out until you have a seat of morality to kind of be firm in, because y'all are messing up the momentum right now. So yeah, our power is in economics, but we have two choices, to either continue to bend and break to the laws of capitalism, and capitalism is such a monster within itself, because like I said, it's built on racism, it's built on systemic oppression. So no matter how much equity we may build, we still have to deal with the reality of maintaining that equity, and there's no amount of money that's going to be able to keep you here. You know what I'm saying? If somebody else still feels the need to in your life. So where I'm at on my side, all bets is off. I'm not asking to be equal. I'm not asking to be a part of it. I'm not asking to be a victim of it. I just want to be left alone. And if I can't be left alone, I'm gonna burn the entire establishment down. I'm gonna take the ones that's alive and that's still here to tell their story on my side, and we're gonna build a new civilization out the ashes. But I'm not here to continue to try to fit into a puzzle piece that don't want me to be there. And that's what I'm trying to tell black people. Like, you can get the job at Vogue now, you can get the job at Walmart, you can get them. Folks do not like you, and that just is what it is, because if they loved you, you wouldn't have had to fight 100 years for them to see you. You wouldn't have had to do a Vogue challenge to get validation, even though Vogue has been around some 115 years, and they just had their first black photographer 2 years ago. Like, it's a choice behind these things. Y'all people have to stop. We have to stop chasing for our abuser to recognize us and to love us, and realize that an abuser is going to abuse until you decide to break the chains and change the way you're responding to being abused. I'm not necessarily in the sport of trying to vote and do all of this. Like, I'm a vote, but at the same time, how many elections are gonna pass before the ballot is filled with options to choose from, where we don't have to choose between lesser of the three evils? Like, we could choose this devil because he ain't Satan and Satan ain't Lucifer. Like, I don't want to have to continue to choose devils. Like, if I can't have somebody represent me, I don't want no parts in it, and that should be
So
fine.
what you're speaking on is a new world order, basically, and that's the same
It's gonna
thing.
have to happen.
A lot of the white people are speaking on a new world order. You want to do it your way, they want to do it theirs. Here's what I will say. I do believe, I firmly believe that our power lies in the strength of our economics. I firmly believe that. We've seen it. We've already seen it before with the bus boycotts. So we know and we are the number one consumers, not only in America but in the world. Black people spend a lot of money. We spend a lot of money to impress people we don't even know and don't even like. That's what we do.
Exactly.
If we can find a way to unify, to come together, and I still say we have to have leaders. And I don't know that the leader won't be a millennial, because I'm going to tell you, these millennials and these Generation Zs, they have no fear. They feel that they have nothing to lose, and they have a strong presence and a strong voice. I want to read a couple of more comments, and then I've got to get off this podcast. But this has been an extremely amazing and powerful podcast. Tammy Smith says, we were born in a country that was built on slave mentality, where the odds of survival are stacked against us. The movement cannot stop. Young King, I applaud you. And there was another comment. KWA says Trump has given some people a false sense of security. He's going to get people hurt. It's not the 50s and 60s, and you better say that. Amen. Then Nikki Beatty says, I love my white friends just like I love my black ones, but no, I'm observing the ones that are silent regarding this matter too. I can't help but to look at them sideways. Yeah, a lot of people are not taking a stand one way or the other because they just want to be neutral. Yeah, we're at a point. Yeah, guys. Yeah, just let me be the first to tell you.
Pick a side.
There's no more neutrality. You gotta pick a side. You got to pick a side. Look, in the words of George W. Bush, you're either for us or you're against us. We are no longer at a point where we can afford for people just to sit back, be neutral, and be silent. Your silence is injustice. So yeah, let me see what else. Diane Cole says the breaking point was when, okay, so because you guys didn't address the breaking point. The breaking point was when we saw a man murdered right before our very eyes. That was it. A black man was ran down in the streets like a dog and killed by two white men while another one filmed. And it took months for it to come to the attention of the country. Enough is a freaking enough. And I agree with you. Enough is enough. I don't want to do nothing to hurt nobody, but I'm tired of y'all coming for us. How about that? I am tired.
I'm tired of being a piano at the party.
Enough is enough. And if you're not one of the ones coming for us, then you won't be offended by me saying that. Kathy Strickland says, I have enjoyed the show. Sorry, we've enjoyed having you. Mary Alice Douglas says, awesome podcast. You were to be commended. Keep up the good work. Bursting with pride. So we've got so many, oh my gosh, we've got so many comments.
Yes.
Keep coming in, but we're going to have to end this podcast. Unfortunately, hate to leave you guys, but like I said, if I didn't, vocally respond to your podcast, then certainly I will try to get to you because you are relevant. You matter. I love each and every one of you. We want to thank our special guest, me and DJ Grady Baby. And furthermore, if you have any friends that are not on Facebook, but you know that they would want to take part and participate in this podcast, then they can certainly do that. They can go to djgradybaby.com. And the podcast will be on his radio station. That's djgradybaby.com. And yeah, they can participate that way. And likewise, if you have friends on Facebook who were not able to join us on this podcast today, please just do us a favor. Just share it. Just sharing is caring. And we want to share this with everybody because this is important. We're not talking, a lot of times we talk about irrelevant issues. And a lot of times we talk about stuff that's just funny or lighthearted. This is very, very serious. So we're just asking that you share it. We want to thank our special guest, Osiris Wolf.
Thank y'all for having me.
You're very welcome. Local rapper and one of the leaders of this new civil rights movement. We want to thank you so much for joining us on the podcast and imparting some words of wisdom. I'm telling y'all, don't underestimate these babies. I'm telling you, don't underestimate the younger folk because they have a voice and they have a lot to say, and their opinions are relevant. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Join us next time on the Tisa Batey Show. We love you, love you, love you. Thank you so much. We are signing off. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Love you.
Oh, yeah. Great show. Great show. Thank you, everybody.